Okay, Mr. Knopp, you're going to have to move the slides if this nice new device we just got doesn't work. Is there a refund? Oh, it is working. Okay, there we go. All right. Let's go all the way to the beginning. Very good. Well, welcome, everybody, and thank you for being here. I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Dr. Gabe Samakian, the superintendent of the Oxnard Union High School District, and we're here to celebrate student achievement in the Oxnard Union High School District. And today is the official day that the State Department of Education released the academic performance state data. And this data really should have come out a long time ago. And I often equate it to trying to make a basket and shoot a basket and waiting 6 months to see if the basket actually made it in. And that's how we feel with the way we're dealing with data at the state, but we are certainly putting in systems. So I want to thank everyone for being here, and I would like to start out by introducing our Board of Education. First of all, our Board President, Mr. Hawkes. Our Board Vice President, Mr. Edmonds, is not able to be here today. Mr. Alamillo, Trustee. Ms. Socorro Lopez-Hanson, Trustee. And Mr. Stocks, Trustee. At this time, I'd like to invite Mr. Dick Hawkes, who will introduce the elected officials.
Thank you, Dr. Samakian. I started already. I forgot my glasses. So I'm going to read these, and if I miss somebody, please say something. But before I do, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. I know everybody's busy, and I know our staff wants to get back to work, so they said hurry up, and so I'll do that. Some special people, Richard from Cape. Are you here? Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't read your last name. Where'd you get these?
I didn't steal them. You left them behind.
Oh, okay. That still doesn't help. No, okay. And our next one, I'm just going by the list here. Carmen Ramirez from City of Oxnard, council lady. And we have Jess Herrera from the Port, Commissioner. And Christine Dacus from the Port of Hueneme is right next door. And we have Brian McDonald, Councilman, City of Oxnard. Hi, Brian. Thank you. And today, Hannah Beth Jackson is here today. She's a candidate for the Senate, 19th District. Thank you, Hannah Beth. We have Socorro Lopez-Hanson, so I just had to say that so she wouldn't get mad at me later. And then we have Mark Lisgore. Where art thou? Here he is, right below. And another special guest we have is Nancy Lindholm from the Oxnard Chamber, CEO. Thank you. I have a name here that I can't read, and it looks like the last name is Rubicava, County Schools. Yes, thank you for being here. And unless I forgot, Stan Mantooth is here from the county schools, superintendent. And the county, how could I forget? Mr. Zaragoza, we went backwards this time. John Zaragoza, our supervisor. John, did you put your name on here? No. I think that's it. Did I forget anybody, please? Oh, Veronica. I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Veronica from the Oxnard, or the Rio School District. Oxnard, we're close. Thank you. Is that it? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkes. We tried to get as many of the RSVPs as possible, and those of you who came in, we're very, very happy that you're here, but we weren't sure who was going to be here. This is a great crowd, and we appreciate you being here. At this time, I'd like to introduce our leadership team. Actually, no. What I'm going to say is I'm going to have Mr. Stan Mantooth come up here and say a few words on behalf of the Board of Education as well as all the county superintendents. He is the superintendent of all the county schools. Mr. Stan Mantooth.
Thank you, Dr. Samakian. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, particularly in this district today, but I'm also very pleased to say that the test scores for all of the students overall in Ventura County once again have made incremental progress in the face of financial difficulty. And that's a tribute to all the educators. Particularly with regard to students of poverty and our Hispanic students, we continue to make strong growth in that area. Today, though, I want to applaud the Oxnard School District, its Board of Education, its leadership, its teachers, and most of all, its students for their achievements today. Some of these increases are truly stunning. And I heard a report today a glowing report with quotes around it on KNX about the LA Unified School District moving up 16 points. Well, we've got a lot better show than they do today. I think people would ask, well, how do you keep doing this when you're on financial life support? And how does Oxnard realize this much progress? Well, according to their blueprint, what do? You touch every single student every single day. And in alignment with our rollout of our new Common Core standards, that's embedded there as well. That same message that there's nothing more important than consistent teacher-student dialogue. And I think that's what makes us continue to have the gains that we enjoy today. Just think what we could do if we had real resources in education. Thank you, and my hat's off to Oxnard.
Thank you, Stan. I don't have to show the rest of my PowerPoint because I think you just covered it all. At this time, I'd like to introduce our leadership team. So if you can just hold your applause, because we do have a number of people that really do need to get recognized for all the hard work. So let me begin. Mr. Bill Dabbs, Assistant Superintendent of Ed Services. Dr. Rocky Valles, Assistant Superintendent of HR. Mr. Steve Dickinson, Assistant Superintendent of Administrative Services. If you can stand up, I know you're here, so stand up, please. Thank you, or wave. Dr. Greg O'Brien, Executive Director of 21st Century Innovation. We have our directors, starting out with Mr. Ken Gokin, Director of Special Ed. Ms. Lisa Brown, the Director of Curriculum and Assessment. The Director of Student and Staff Support, Ms. Consuelo Hernandez. The Director of EL and Migrant Ed, Lupe Reyes. The Coordinator of Child Welfare and Attendance, Kathy Greaves. Mr. Steve McFarland, Facilities. Mr. Puneet Sharma, IT. And Director of Fiscal Services, Patsy Thomas. And Director of HR, Kim Tresman. I hope I didn't leave anybody out. I think I got everybody covered. At this time, I'd like to introduce the principals because, again, they are the leaders at their site, and they are the ones that coordinate and focus on our student achievement, increasing all of our focus on where our students need to go in the future. So let me begin, and let me call out the principals' names, and then we will applaud, and then we'll go to the next group. Ms. Biju Baltron, Principal of Pacifica High School, if you can stand up, please. Thank you. We have Oscar Hernandez, Principal of Hueneme High School, and being here today representing Oscar is Karen Chadwick, Associate Principal. Wayne Lamas, Principal of Frontier High School. Mr. Glenn Lipman, Principal of Adolfo Camarillo High School. Judy Perkins, Adult School Principal. Dr. Eric Riegert, Principal of Oxnard High School. And Mr. Ray Gonzalez, Principal of Rio Mesa High School, and here representing Mr. Gonzalez is Dr. Ray Sinisak, Associate Principal. At this time, I want to have our teachers please stand up, all of you, and turn around and face the audience, if you don't mind. And did I miss Marty Cruz? I'm sorry. Marty Cruz, if you would have turned in your RSVP, I would have introduced you. I'm sorry. Marty Cruz Hernandez, Channel Islands High School. No, please stand up. I want to make sure I announce who you are, and I just want to say, really, what happens in student achievement is where the rubber meets the road. And these teachers are the reason, representing one from each one of the schools, is the reason why these scores went up, because they're able to motivate our students. So thank you very much for the staff that's here today. I'm going to call out your name, and hopefully I get everybody right here. Okay, here we go. Vance Claycamp from Oxnard High School. Kim Delape from Frontier High School. Susie Houston from Adult Ed. Carl Melhorn from Rio Mesa High School. Katie Pugh from Pacifica High School. Julie Reed Miller from Adolfo Camarillo. And Leticia Carvajal from Channel Island High School. Thank you very much for being here, and we really appreciate the work that you guys are done. If we can have the students please stand up and face the audience. Folks, this is the reason why we're in business. This is the reason why we are so proud to be here today. These are the ASB student presidents of each school, and everything we do in education is on behalf of our students. Our motto is students first, every day, every school, every classroom. So, again, hopefully you'll get everybody's name here. Jonathan Buceller from Channel Island. Mariah Barbante from Wainimi High School. Jacqueline Ceballos from Pacifica High School. Andrea Falkenberg from Adolfo Camarillo High School. Caitlin Manley from Oxnard High School. And Jordan Villasenor from Rio Mesa. And I don't know if Stephanie Pinedo is here from our board rep. I don't see her, but she's here. If not, I think we have one last name, and that's Sierra Trujillo from Frontier. Okay, so with all the introductions aside, thank you. Students, please have a seat. We want to get started here, and I want to try to make this as brief as possible, but there's so much information to share with you about where we've come in such a short time and where we're going in the future. So please sit back and enjoy. Again, this is kind of an overview of our agenda. We're here to celebrate student achievement, look at our API growth, examine state data versus district data, and how did we get here? How did we improve? Take a look at our blueprint for greatness, which I believe that everyone here has a copy of. And what are some of the next steps for continuous improvement? We're going to introduce our board for the Ed Foundation and release some information about our founding members and give everyone an opportunity for a Q&A. So for those of you who may not know, what's the API stand for? API is an acronym for Academic Performance Index accountability system that the state set over 10 years ago. It measures the school academic performance and growth, a school's API number that ranges from 200 to 1,000 and is calculated from the results of each school's students on statewide tests. The state has set 800 as the API target for all schools to meet. The formula is very complicated and it would take way too long to go over, so just want to give you a gist of what the numbers mean. So let's take a look at some of the key data that we worked on and we are able to show you and be very, very proud of, and you've received a press release with all this information. This is astounding, folks. Each of our 6 comprehensive high schools shows double-digit gains. Each school more than doubled their 2012 target increase. The state sets a target that we have to achieve. All district ethnic groups are higher than similar comparisons with state ethnic groups. And overall, we've achieved 25 points or more district-wide overall API, English learner subgroups, students with disabilities subgroup, and socioeconomically disadvantaged subgroup. Typically, when a district or a school increases anywhere between 7 to 10 points, that's considered that you're doing pretty darn well. So here's our overall academic performance index district-wide. As you can see, we only went back 4 years, but we've had steady growth. And then this year, we jumped 25 points in 1 year. Our English learners, again, we were at 650, had 1 year of a drop, and then had a nice gain in 2011, and then had another gain in 2012. So again, in other slides I'm going to show you, we are above the state average with our English learners. This is phenomenal growth for our English students, English learner students. Our students with disabilities, we were at 498. We had a couple of years where we were going down, but again, with some strategic planning and some of the work that we're going to share with you later on today, we had an amazing 36 points. One school went up 80 points. Pretty amazing. Socially, economically disadvantaged, which is really measured by the number of students who apply or qualify for free and reduced. Again, as you can see, we had a steady growth in 2010, flat in 2011, and had an amazing growth in 2012. So this is really amazing data that we wanted to share with the community, and the parents, teachers, and staff should be really proud of what's going on. So let's take a look at the numbers. These are more site-specific. The first four charts I showed you were district-wide. So the first column talks about 2011 base. Base is what we start from when we calculate from one year to the next. As you can see, our district base was 723. Our growth was 748, so our district overall was 25. And as you go through every single school, starting with Adolfo Camarena, they were at 848. They do not have a target growth because they're already over 800. They went up 21 points. For a high-achieving school to go up that much, that's very, very amazing. So congratulations to Adolfo Camarena. They're at 869. Lookout Newbury Park. Channel Islands, 689. Their target was 6. They moved up to 702. They grew to 713. Doubled their growth target of 6. Again, they went up 22 last year, so they've had some really nice growth the last couple of years. Congratulations, Channel Islands. Hueneme High School, 650. Their growth was set at 8, 5 times their growth, up 43 points to 693. Phenomenal job by the staff at Hueneme High School. Oxnard High School, 716. The 2 previous years at Oxnard High School, they only had 2 and 2. They went up 28 points, 5 times their growth target. Congratulations, Oxnard High School. Pacifica High School, the base was 732, a growth of 5, went up 22 points. They're at 754, and last year they had a nice gain as well, so congratulations, Pacifica High School. Rio Mesa High School, 741, their growth was set at 5, they went up to 12, so they had a nice gain. Congratulations, Rio Mesa. And Frontier Continuation High School is at 510, and I will tell you, with that group, the dynamics of the numbers changed dramatically statistically. They were supposed to go up 15. They went up 45. That's great, isn't it? So that's our overall API growth, and let me show you a different way of looking at this data. So the blue represents the base from last year. The green represents the growth. So across the district, we had double-digit gains, and everyone made substantial progress. So this is not just one school. This is systemic growth. And when you have systemic change, systemic growth, whatever we're doing has impacted every single school. Again, we have to thank our teachers and students and staff for working hard to achieve these remarkable gains. Let's take a look at the state and district ethnicity API comparison. So if you take a look at last year's this is the comparison of this year's state in blue and district in green. And if you take a look at the African American population between our district and state average, we are well ahead of the state average of 725 versus 665. In the American Indian, Alaskan Native, which is not a significant group in terms of percentage, we're at 813 versus 719 statewide. In the Asian population, we're 909, where the statewide average is 879. When you take a look at the Filipino population, we're at 863. The state average is 834. When you take a look at the Hispanic population, we're at 712, and the state is 701. And I want to tell you, in that subgroup, we've had dramatic gains in the last couple of years, so we're definitely above the state. And the Pacific Islanders, again, is not a very significant group in terms of percentage, but we're at 821 and the state is 732, and the Caucasian white is 867 in our district, where the average is 817. So I think we can show from every group that we are definitely above the average of the state. Now, here's an interesting statistic, or that the only difference between that slide and that slide is the line. The far right, where it says 817 for Caucasian, 817 for the state average, when someone talks about closing the achievement gap, typically what they're saying or what's articulated is closing the achievement gap between subgroups, or in this case, we're showing the Hispanic and African American. Even though we've had some nice growth, we do need to close that achievement gap, and we're going to get those get that population moving up to the red line, and that's our goal as we move forward. Now, you're probably wondering how does this all just calculated? And I'm going to just show you some really basic information here. This is about as complicated as I'm going to get. Got to push the right button. So right now these are called performance bands. These are your most advanced level of performance, proficient, basic, below basic, and far below basic. When a student is far below basic and they move from this level to this level, we get approximately 300 points as calculated. And if a student moves from this level to this level, there's a 200-point increase for that student. The point is that we have moved more and more of these students up, and that's the reason why our scores have gone up significantly. We've also moved students from here up to the advanced. Again, notice you don't get, quote, as much credit, although we want all of our students to be advanced and proficient. But the greatest gains that schools and districts receive is when they move the below basic and far below basic up the level. And that's what we've done in terms of increasing our scores, because when you do that, what it means, your students have a greater opportunity for greater success, whether to go to college or career, and that's what we're excited about. So how did we do this? Well, the district has achieved this success largely due to the efforts of a great teaching staff that provided quality, standards-based instruction and motivated students to demonstrate increased student learning. But you have to remember, unlike the Casey exam, you have to pass the Casey in order to move out of high school and graduate. There are real accountability measures for students, okay? And so trying to get students to say, this is important, this really means something. And I think being able to motivate them, and we thank our students for working hard to show that they do know and they are learning. We ensure a guaranteed and viable curriculum focused on teaching the state standards. It's important to teach the state standards because that's what's being measured, and not all of our textbooks really are aligned with the state standards, even though the publishers will tell you that. We've spent a great deal of time using school improvement funding that's not general ed funding or general fund money, that is focused on staff development for both teachers and administrators. And we want to create a coherent, consistent, and comprehensive professional development. We want to support what's known as the professional learning communities, where teachers can sit together and say, wow, you did pretty well here with your scores. What happened here? How did you do that? What can we do to help these students? And having those crucial conversations with staff, I think, is one of the things that we not only have worked on, but will continue to improve. This is still a work in progress. We certainly have focused, without question, on our English learners and students with disabilities. And we've had amazing growth in those areas because, again, we want to make sure they're prepared for college and career. We had Pivot Learning, a consulting firm, come in and do an analysis of our students with special needs in terms of a report, and we have implemented some of those recommendations and continue to implement the others. And the next area that we're really spending a lot of time on is a concept called strategic schooling. Strategic schooling with Mr. Dennis Parker has really made an impact on where we're going in this district. It's focused on optimal human performance in education. We, just like athletes, you expect athletes to perform at a high level. We want teachers, students to perform at a high level, administrators to perform at a high level. And it's really focuses on a very simple concept, and it's more complicated than this. But the concept is you have to set a target. You have to set a goal. You have to focus on specific standards or areas you want to improve. Then you take a look at the feedback, the data that we're getting today, for example, and we study that data and ask ourselves why, why not, what can we do better? And then we build up and gain knowledge in terms of know-how. So this is really more professional developed. This is learning how to conduct our business differently, how to build capacity within our staff, and then we go back and set target. And the context really is all the environment, our student population, our students with special needs, and the environment that we create in the classroom, making sure that we have low suspension rate. The context in terms of putting this all in play is really how we have driven this forward. So I'm going to keep it real simple, but that's a model that we've been using, and Dennis Parker has come out to our district, worked with our staff, and really has helped us focus on keeping the main thing, and that's student achievement, and how do we help our teachers not work harder, but work smarter. And that's really, I think, showed our improvements for this year. You've also been given the Blueprint for Greatness, which the board has adopted again this year. It's been slightly modified this year to address the Common Core standards, the 21st Century Learning Initiative, and the Smarter Balanced Assessment. And our focus as we move forward is this whole notion of redesigning the high school experience for the 21st century. What is that all about? Simply put, it's preparing our students for a new global economy, new jobs, new skill sets, making sure that when they graduate from high school, they have a career path, a college path, they're able to go out there and move into the workforce and be able to be successful and really enhance their quality of life. So that I know personally, from my personal experience, my parents were illiterate. My dad worked in the sweatshop. My mother stayed at home. And I'll tell you what, the only thing they wanted from me was to make sure I got a good education and had a better future. I think that's what we want for all of our kids. Have the skills, the necessary skills, that they can go out there and be successful and contribute to our society and be proud of their accomplishment. So when you get a higher number on your test, it means you're learning. It means you're able to achieve. And the Blueprint for Greatness focuses on 3 areas: leadership, proficiency, and support. And to keep it simple, leadership is about distributed leadership. It's not just about the superintendent with a vision. It's about everyone in the district having the leadership to take charge of what happens at their site, at their classroom, even student leadership, taking responsibility for their own learning, and the courage to lead. The courage to lead is very important. Proficiency is what we're here all about today. We are promising you, the business leaders, civic leaders, parents, we're promising you our students will learn. They will become proficient. They will get better at what they do, and they will have a better quality of life. And that's what it's about. It's a promise. We want them to be proficient and advanced. And the network of support really addresses the whole notion of how can we help our staff in terms of professional development, giving them the tools that they need. How can we help our students? So if they are not succeeding, what can we do to help them get better in terms of support? Now let's take a look at some comparisons, the same data we had, but mainly district-wide. Our district overall scores for this year went up 25, as I mentioned, to 748. The state average for high school is 752. I believe they have an elementary, a middle school, and a high school. I believe this is the high school data. We want to set a goal for 25 points, okay, or more. We believe we can achieve greatness again. But it's going to take a concerted effort, and with some of the systems we're going to put in, working together collaboratively, we believe we owe it to our students to set higher goals. Because the state says all you got to do is improve 5 points. Well, if we improve 5 points a year, it would take some schools 20 years to get to 800. That's unacceptable. We need to get to 800 as quickly as we can, or even beyond. So this is district-wide comparisons. English learners. Look at that. 60-point gains, I believe, in the last 2 years. That's amazing for this district. You should really be proud of that. That's way above the state average. Again, we want to be able to get those students moving forward. So we're setting a 25-point goal district-wide. I believe we're going to work with our principals. We'll have individual site goals as well. Our students with disability, we're below the state average. But at the same time, we had a 36-point gain, which is pretty good. and we believe that we're going to continue to work hard to break that state average for next year. Socially economic disadvantage, we're slightly ahead of the state. Again, we're going to shoot for 725. So we're setting some lofty goals, and we're going to work hard to attain them. So continuous improvement, we're going to continue to get better. And how are we going to do that? Well, we're putting in some pieces and some systems in place. For example, our freshman transition program this year. We just completed about 2 weeks ago the freshman transition 21st century skills. We are a 912 district. We have 8 K-8 feeder schools that feed into our district, or K-8 districts that feed into our district. And kids come from different schools, different backgrounds, different priorities, although we're all certainly interested in student achievement. Students coming into our district in 9th grade really are deer with headlights on. They need some support, so they're heading in the right direction. I'm very pleased that staff was able to come together and really look at how we can help our students transition. And I think we are having a debriefing meeting, I believe, tomorrow with our staff. Our focus this year, Mr. Stan Mantooth mentioned the Common Core. The Common Core are the new state standards that the state has adopted, and we're going to focus with our 9th grade student this year. And then when they become 10th graders, we'll focus with that group on the 10th grade Common Core. And when they become juniors, we will introduce the Junior Common Core. And 3 years from now, our current freshmen will be taking the new Smarter Balance Assessment, which are a lot more complicated than just choose A, B, C, or D. It's more involved. And we're also incorporating the concept of linked learning, which really ties real-world experiences through academy pathways. We've implemented some data analytics systems starting this year with a Synergy student information system, a data director system which focuses on student assessment, so all the scores that you are seeing here at the student level gets populated. We're not quite there yet, but we're getting there, is my favorite phrase of the month. We have a lot of work to do in that, getting those two systems to talk to each other. Naviance is a college and career readiness to post-secondary goals, and I want to thank Dr. Cynthia Herrera, who I will introduce later on, helping Oxnard College, and our partnership has helped us put together that program, and that will be implemented by the second semester. We still are not there in terms of the implementation. We have the other two systems that we're focusing on. So we're enhancing professional learning communities with staff, as I mentioned earlier. An important part is articulation with our K-8 districts to make sure that the students are prepared for algebra, for high school, and language arts, and also communication with our articulation with our community colleges. We're implementing a response to instruction and intervention, which is typically referred to as RTI squared, because what we want to make sure, for example, we just had our 5-week progress report conclude last week. Well, if students are not progressing in D's and F's, we don't want to make changes or intervene 3 weeks or 4 weeks down the road. We want to be able to intervene immediately so that we can help students transition. A couple of programs we've been working with our high schools is a positive behavioral management support system. The acronym is CHAMPS. That's been supported by the county, and a grant that we have called the S3 grant, which is Safe Supportive Schools. Another program that we're working with our teachers and staff, and it's not just teachers, it's also classified staff, is the schools using coordinated community efforts to strengthen students. It is absolutely important that we focus and get more parents involved in the child's education. And 3 of our schools, we're starting a parent welcome center where they have a place when they come to school, whether they're visiting a teacher, a counselor, an administrator, they'll have an opportunity to come in, have access to information, and be able to system, but we have to certainly train them. And the last part here is building a business and community partnership that's going to help move our district forward. Those are areas that we're going to continue to improve on to reach our lofty goal for next year. Now, I want to get real here, and the reality is our funding. Folks, you've been seeing the ads. You know what's going on. This is the state fiscal crisis that we're in. I don't know if anyone's ever seen this slide before, but this is the only slide I got to show to anybody that just describes the problem that we're having. So in 07-08, our district, or the base revenue limit in terms of how we're funded, was 6696. And as we move throughout the years, This is the money that was promised to us, and this is the amount of funding that we're getting. And this year we're funded at 60-26. This is a 22%, 21% drop. The amount of money we've lost from here to here is $100 million. The amount of money we've lost from here to here just this year is $20 million. And if the propositions don't pass, we're going to lose $7.5 million. This is scary. And people need to realize, the public needs to realize, that we have to be able to sustain growth. And we just can't simply do it alone. And we hopefully will get the politicians up in Sacramento to address this problem. And I know we got a couple of ballots here, but we need some help here, folks, some relief fast. So what are the future challenges? Well, is it possible to continue to increase scores? I say yes, but it's going to be a challenge with less resources. We've got increased class sizes. Our teachers are up to 38 per class. Over 170 students. Some of them are up to 187. We can't keep on increasing class size. Staff has taken already 9 reduction days. 5 of them are instruction, 4 of them are professional development. They've already taken a cut in pay. California is last in per pupil funding, 49 out of 50. And we have the most diverse student population in the nation. Again, I mentioned that we've lost that kind of funding, and as Mr. Stan Mantus, just think, what are the possibilities if schools were funded appropriately? Somebody was telling me earlier today, I can't remember what state it is, 15-to-1 student ratio, and their funding mechanism is way over $9,000. Okay, that's back east. Well, man, I'll tell you what, that's amazing. I don't know how they can fund their schools, but we need to look at how we're funding our schools to help our kids move forward. At this time, I'd like to ask Dr. Cynthia Herrera to come up here, and at this time, I'd like to ask the principals, if you do not mind, to step down. I'd like to ask the Ed Foundation Board to come on and work your way up here. If you wouldn't mind, Mr. Brian McDonald, come on up here, Bruce Stensley, and I'm not sure if, I know Phyllis is here, come on up here, and I think Tom Petrovich may be on vacation, but I'd like to at this time introduce our Ed Foundation Board. If you guys can just come up here. I know this will be a short stay up here, but that's okay. You're doing some great work for us. There you are. Thank you. So the president of our Ed Foundation is Dr. Cynthia Herrera, who's behind me. I'll say a few words in a minute here. And she's in charge of the STEM director of Oxnard College. Our Vice President, Brian McDonald, Oxnard City Councilman, thank you for serving on our Ed Foundation. The Treasurer, Tom Petrovich, a retired CPA, is not able to be with us today. Director, Phyllis Throckmorton, a retired Director of Career Technical Education, just recently retired. And another director is Bruce Stensley, President and CEO of the Economic Development Collaborative, Ventura County. And the primary focus of the Ed Foundation is to provide funding or help us fund the following programs, because again, we simply just don't have the funds from the state if we want to move forward. 21st century learning and classroom resources, support pathway academies with linked learning to the business environment, instructional assessment technology resources and equipment, and career technical education, teacher, administrative, professional development. We believe that the foundation is really going to help us with our 21st century initiative. We need to prepare our students for the Common Core, build and expand our academy, and I wanted to have Dr. Cynthia Herrera say a few words on our behalf.
Can you believe those results? Aren't they fantastic? Thank you. Really, really great. I would like the students to stand one more time. Would you mind standing and face the audience? I want everyone to look deep into their eyes. Look at their faces. They are us in 10 more years. Some of us maybe 20 more years. Okay. They are our future leaders. They are our healthcare professionals. They are our county supervisors. They are our city council members. They are our police chiefs. They are us. Thank you very much. You can sit down. They are our reason for doing what we're doing under the Ed Foundation. Our sole purpose is to develop and sustain strong community and business partnerships so that we can provide the 21st century learning opportunities for these students so that they can continue on with educational and career pathways. Without funds to do that, and without the ability to really provide sustainable educational programs, their opportunities are limited. So we on the Ed Board, on behalf of all of us that are new this year, starting out, we are committed to providing services for you that will prepare, engage, connect, and lead you into your future. And we are very proud and honored to be part of that. Thank you.
Okay, so I want to support the Ed Foundation's vision. What do I do? Well, first of all, the best way to do it is to certainly contact my office. We're still in the process of, we've received our 501c3 from the state, and we're about a week away from receiving it from the IRS. So we've actually had an Ed Foundation previously in this district, so we're resurrecting it. So please contact my office, and we appreciate your support. And those are the final comments. Thank you very much for being here. I just want to check and see, because I didn't see him walk in. Is Mr. Wes Davis here by any chance? Okay, I know that they were in the middle of a meeting today, so he's our president of our OFTSC. So we'll entertain any questions. There's a couple of mics there if you'd like to ask a couple of questions. If there aren't any questions, come on up, Carmen.
Can I just do it?
Sure, absolutely. I think I can hear you.
I want to know, will we be able to get details on how some of these awesome achievements were made?
I'll be more than happy. This is all public information. If you want to get specific details, believe me, tons and tons of data that we can share. So just whatever it is that you'd like us to share with you, we'd be more than happy to meet with you, but thank you for that comment. Anybody else have a comment or question? Yes, John.
I just want to thank you and the staff and all the principals and the students here. As you said, this is our future, and this is commendable, the way that you have here. And hopefully that we get with every member. But I want to thank you so much for your efforts. And the community is here to support you and the leadership. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, I don't want to keep you guys too late. We're kind of run over a little bit. We only wanted to go to about 2 o'clock. Is there some other questions? Is there a question?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I don't know if this is on. Is this on? Okay. Walt Dunlop, retired Oxnard Union High School District Director of Compensatory Education. I want to commend the school district, the kids, the faculty, administration, the board on wonderful success. It's great to come back and see this. It's really exciting. I have a question about the results that were shared. I know that the API is based on the California Standards Test. I'm curious about the results on the California High School exit exam for our district in general, and especially for our subgroups, our English learner students. Did we see improvement on the Casey, and if so, what is that?
Well, I don't have that data to share with you. I know that our case here is a challenge for all of our groups, and we certainly have a lot of areas for growth in that area, but I don't have that data to share with us today. We're going to mainly cover the APIs today.
Is it forthcoming?
Well, the data's already been released. I mean, it's not that we don't have it. It's just the focus of today was on our API, because today that's when that information was released.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, thank you very much for being here. We really appreciate it.